Well, you know they call me Squinty, but my real name is Mr. Paul. Well, you know they call me Squinty, but my real name is Mr. Paul. Greetings from the dank basement. So I got an email from a fellow by the name of Big John, and Big John says that because he is trying to quit cigarettes, instead of smoking cigarettes, he's cutting down by using Thor's hammer from Viking. And I said, well, that's a mighty fine idea, Big John. The fewer death sticks you put into your system, the better. So it's good if you can supplement or substitute, I should say, with a little bit of the Thor's hammer from Viking, which is a very high nicotine snuff. And during the course of our exchange of correspondence, Big John suggested that I talk at length, or maybe briefly, about the entire Viking range of snuffs. So, here goes. Viking snuffs are made by Samuel Gawith in the Samuel Gawith snuff mills, but whether they are a sub-range of Samuel Gawith, Gawith Hogarth, or if they're being packaged under contract for a separate business entity, I couldn't tell you that. The Viking range contains Viking Peach, which I have never tried, Viking Spear, which is a very good spearmint snuff with a fairly unremarkable tobacco base, very reminiscent of Wilson's of Sharrow's Crumbs of Comfort or Prime Minister. They are the same snuff. So we got Viking Spear. Then we have Viking Blonde, the lightest of the three quote-unquote plain snuffs. Viking Blonde is slightly bready, slightly woody, just a hint of leather, and is very easy to take. Nicotine yield on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is nothing and 10 is probably dangerous. Viking Blonde is perhaps a 5. It's right in the middle of the nicotine road. It gets boring, frankly, but it could be your all-day stuff. What I find Viking Blonde the most useful for is for one of three things. First of all, as a mixing snuff, to mix with other snuffs to come up with something lighter. You know, it's very good to mix Viking Blonde, for instance, with a real strong medicated to tone down the menthol. Another thing I like to use it for is as a stretching snuff. If I'm running out of a favorite snuff, just throw in a couple of pinches of the Viking Blonde to extend it. Another thing that you can do with Viking Blonde, and it's really fun, our friend Snuff Anybody McFeagle did this, and he used vanilla beans and this really great liqueur and all this other stuff, and scented it up. Sent up the Viking Blonde, and you can do that in your own home. And I think I should do a video on how to do that. It's not hard, and you can scent your own snuffs and get some pretty terrific results. So Viking Blonde is tremendous for that. It's a good all-day snuff, and it's a decent beginner snuff. At the nicotine level, it is satisfactory for a lot of people. I just think that it gets a little boring over time. Okay, then that leaves us with the last two, the Viking Brown and the Viking Dark. Now, the Viking Brown is a typical, I'd call it a Kendall-style snuff. It's going to smell a little of tarmac, going to have a lot of leather. There's going to be a little bit of salt there. There's going to be wood, sort of sea-sprayed wood, I guess, is for want of a better thing. But it's mostly going to be just a plain brown tobacco with a little bit of tarmac in it. That's going to be your overwhelming scent there. Nicotine yield on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 is nothing and 10 is probably dangerous. Nicotine yield on the Viking Dark, as snuff falls right out of my nose and onto my crotch, is going to be a 6. It's may or may not be a new recipe now. I don't know. I have not heard anything about the Viking Dark. I need to get back to Snuff House and do my homework. But Viking Brown, as far as I know, is also a new recipe, as I know is Viking Dark. And while we're on the subject of Viking Dark, if you had snuffstore.co.uk's, what was it called, Midnight Magic, or if you had, let's see, Samuel Gawith's Black Rapé, maybe not. You guys in the comments section below, the snuff experts, tell me what else Viking Dark was packaged as. Whatever they packaged it as then, it's a different recipe now. Hey man, you want to buy some of this? No, kids, it's not black tar heroin. Your Uncle Squinty doesn't do that shit. No, this is a big bag of snuff that incidentally was sent to me by Snuff Anybody McFeagle as part of my big, wonderful 2016 Christmas present, which was truly big and wonderful. And am I smelling spearmint? Yes, in fact, I am. Again, we're getting the good wood and leather notes here. Nice and moist. Medium grind. Almost approaching coarse. And I have medium. I'm pinching it together. It is becoming a little bit of a Prilla between my thumb and my forefinger. I'll bust that up a little bit as I sniff it. Let's see if this is truly different from the old Viking Dark that I know and love and remember. And I have it in my snuff cabinet as both Viking Dark and as Snuff Store's Black Magic. So hang on a second. I called it Midnight Magic before. That was a band I was in the 1970s. Midnight Magic. Oh, I got snubbed.
It is 7 o'clock p.m.
Yeah. Our original name was the Syphilistics, but nobody was hiring us. Anyway. Wham Bam Billy and the Boneheads. Biff Spasmo and the Quadriplegics. Been in a lot of really funky bands. The Tater Boys Blues Band. True. I was in the Tater Boys Blues Band. We played a Jewish wedding once where the father of the bride corked off on the dance floor, right in the middle of a song. But that's another story for another snuffing time. Let's talk about this Viking Dark crap. There is a slight scent of peppermint, or not peppermint, I'm sorry, spearmint to this.
It's not the same snuff! It's not the same snuff! It's really disgusting by comparison. I don't like it. I'm really not happy with Samuel freaking Mickey frickin' Gawith and his whole zoo crew up there in Glasgow, England, or wherever they are. I'm mad. Maybe this really is black tar heroin. I don't frickin' know, but it's not the same stuff!
We now return you to a normal snuff review. Yeah, it's not the same, guys. Not at all. It does have some things in common with the original, of course. It's got a lot more of that tar, a lot more wood than leather. And there's more salt in this as well, which makes it very, very pleasant. It feels really good in the nose. Back drip is still gorgeous, just like the old stuff. Nicotine yield on the scale where 1 is nothing and 10 is probably dangerous. This is rating a 6 or a 7, maybe a little higher. It's okay. The spearmint edge to it is interesting and not all that distracting. May actually open up your nose a little bit for the good things to come from the dark tobacco. So actually, despite my earlier tantrum, this might not be so bad after all on the squinty scale, where 1 is
This god dang!
and 5 is delicious. I'm going to have to say this is a 4. I have not tasted the new Viking Brown yet, can't comment on it. A Viking Blonde on the squinty scale gets a 3 out of 5, despite what I may have said in an earlier review. Viking Spear, 3 out of 5. Viking Peach, no comment. Now let's talk about the Thor's Hammer. If you're going to be blowing your yaller horn, as I know many of you enjoy doing, just don't grab the back of your own head before you blow your yaller horn. That's all I'm asking. Or blow your nose, for that matter. No, you've got the Thor's Hammer. Now, to me, Thor's Hammer is a mixture of blonde, brown, and dark, and I'm quite certain of that. I've been told by people with real eyesight that it is a speckled mess of all 3 colors. So I have no reason to doubt that Thor's Hammer is a mixture of all 3 tobaccos. But is there a magic ingredient? Is there something I'm not even considering? I don't freaking know. But I will tell you it packs nicotine that's right around an 8. So go figure. Let's see.
Well, if the biking blonde is only 5, and the brown is 6, and the black is 7, then how can the Thor's hammer be an 8 if it's just a mix of the 3 goddamn snuffs?
The answer to that question may never be found, ladies and gentlemen. It will take a stronger, better man than I, perhaps an analytical chemist, to figure out really what's in that
Thor's hammer!
Thanks for watching. John, hope that answers your questions. Oh, by the way, the Thor's hammer on the squinty scale, 4 out of 5.